Welcome to the April 12th, 2022 episode of Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And Fakafon to add a very, very small flair of Canadian touch.
Ooh, French-Canadian.
Yeah, we were feeling our podcast wasn't quite polite enough, so you'll help cater to that demographic.
Yes, I will. Yeah. Leave it to me.
They arrested that one guy for using regular gas, not leaded gas, in that movie. What was that? Canadian Bacon with John Candy. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. John Candy movie. There's at this point, any John Candy movie's a deep
That was
cut.
his last movie before he passed away. I think he passed away before it released. Actually,
in Canada, was that movie called Bacon? You want to watch Bacon? What the fuck is that movie?
Bacon? No, we got it confused with the actor, you know.
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin. Kevadian Bacon.
Oh my god.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, and the movie's title is just his name.
Now I want to watch Tremors all of a sudden.
That is a great movie.
I've never seen it.
It's great. It's legitimately
the first
good.
one's good. Yeah. Actually, the whole series is kind of fun.
There's definitely varying quality, but Tremors 1 and 2 are the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, you like the second one? Cool.
Second one's amazing.
Yeah. I never saw the second one, so yeah. So we are here. For those of you who haven't heard or didn't listen to last week, tisk. But I have announced the end of the show. This will be the second to last Reactive Consciousness. So we brought aboard Fakafon here to do this one last time here with us. So we're glad to have him and glad he could join. We had Dracologist, of course, on last week, our other frequent guest, and maybe we might have something nice next week, with God willing. So I'm not going to make any promises, but we're hoping things can, or it's just going to be Lotus by himself going, and hey. Hey,
I was gonna say,
are you there?
We're gonna rent out Madison Square Garden and do it live.
Oh, sweet.
Do it live, and nobody else will show up.
Yeah.
Andrew Dice Clay is there for some reason, but
Yeah, you sold out again?
He's just there. That's where he lives now.
But he's in the audience. He loves it. He's like,
oh. Hickory dickory duck.
I was just gonna say, he starts throwing out some new nursery rhymes for us. Wow, thank you, Mr.
Clock.
Dice Clay.
But anyway, so a pretty big thing happened in pop culture. Warner Brothers was acquired by Discovery Networks. Now, normally, you hear me over and over again say that corporate consolidation is a bad thing, generally speaking, and it consolidates, it creates less competition, and stifles creativity and voices and all that kind of stuff, and also fires people. But in this case, it was actually a really good thing. Do you guys know why this was a good move?
Well, I'm sure we'll discover why soon enough.
Oh!
So Warner Brothers is currently owned, or was previously owned by AT&T, who acquired it within the last 4 years, I believe.
And let's face it, the telegraph is wildly out of date.
American Telephone and what else?
I just said, telegraph.
Yeah. So is the telephone. But anyway,
that's actually true too.
and so is America. But no. But yeah. So AT&T was the current was the previous owner of Warner Brothers, and they had a awful reputation of essentially firing all of the creative talent that made anything good at Warner Brothers, and also they didn't realize that making good things is expensive, and therefore cut all of the TV shows and all the big budget movie things that were going on at the time.
Oh wow.
I'm reasonably sure that Matrix is directly commenting. The Matrix 4 is directly commenting on Warner Brothers' acquisition by AT&T in there.
Yeah, The Matrix had a lot of, like, even if you weren't looking for it, a lot of pretty, like, heavy meta commentary.
Yeah, and so therefore, it's not as if Warner Brothers was a standalone company being acquired by a Discovery Networks. This is a brand that has experience and also stake in making creative content, owning a media company once again, rather than a company that had nothing to do with the production of art and entertainment, trying to decide what goes on within that.
Yeah,
So this is going to be a lot better.
It's kind of hard to try and make a profit off of like this kind of process when you have no idea what goes into it.
Yeah, I mean,
all you know
notice...
is telephones and telegraphs.
You'll notice that a lot of WB owned TV shows and television stations had basically fired or canceled all their shows, like their live action shows, because they thought they were too expensive. And they basically made a lot of those channels into like sitcom mills. They just played Office reruns and stuff like that all day long, rather than putting out original content, which is what those channels are known for, and the reason why you go to them, not to watch sitcoms, that you have access on every other platform
that you watched on TV already 15 years ago. Yes.
Yeah. I could get it free on Peacock. Why would I go to?
That's the whole thing. Yeah, people joked about that at first. That Peacock was just like the Office streaming service, but again, even then, it's still a 15-year-old show. What have you done for me lately?
Exactly. So, they also got rid of shows like Adam Ruins Everything, which was like a very good and unique show that tried its best with what it had in order to provide as much truth as possible, within the amount of research. And it was a really good show. Unfortunately, when AT&T acquired that True TV channel, they turned it into the Impractical Jokers channel, which is a hidden camera, basically bare bones TV show that has no budget.
And by the way, regarding the hidden camera shows, even though Impractical Jokers is not 15 years old, that's very of that time. I mean, I know Candid Camera is far older, but they started kind of bringing that back in the early 2000s with Trigger Happy
the Jamie
TV.
Kennedy experiment, all that kind of stuff from back then. Or Punked. Remember Punked?
At this point though, the only time I ever hear that is being used ironically as a joke, because it's funny because it's so out of date. When someone when Jon Stewart said it on the Daily Show, which even that is getting old now, but it's just really funny to hear someone like him say in the 2010s, am I being punked right now? It's just what?
Now, WB, of course, owns a lot of, is home to a lot of licenses.
Oh, yeah, we know. We saw Space Jam. We saw all of their licenses.
I was just going to say Looney Tunes, The Matrix,
the
tons and tons of stuff. Gremlins.
That's true. That's them.
All of DC. So they WB is one of the biggest and oldest movie media companies that in existence. It's up there with Fox and Disney, and so we want them to be around and also have a unique voice. So especially considering that they've made a lot of the best movies of all time, and have been around for so long, and also they have beloved characters. DC was acquired by them back in the 90s, I believe. And they've treated DC well. They basically just made them better in most regards. So I just hope that, this is a better home for them, and they get rid of all the, stupid people that they put in power positions that had nothing to do with media or knew what to do with any kind of acting or anything. They also own HBO, which has still been doing really well, but they were putting all their chips on HBO. Which,
well, I was gonna say,
yeah.
HBO's been, at least in part, doing really well because that's how you watch movies if you don't want to go to the theater. Yeah. HBO has like every movie, so even if you're not watching it for actual HBO content, that's how you keep up with movies coming out in theaters.
Yeah, AT&T, if anything, put all their chips on HBO. So, and of course, a lot of people did subscribe to it because they released a lot of their movies like straight to HBO and HBO Max, and including the Snyder Cut, Wonder Woman 2, which wasn't very good, but also Dune, which is like one of the best movies of the year. So, I mean, there was some really good premium content on HBO. So I think that it can continue like that, but it doesn't have to be the only thing that Warner Brothers is bets on. I mean, they're a gigantic production company. They made they produced a lot of stuff. They made the Conan and O'Brien show until it just stopped. And I think Conan's going to be doing something with HBO. So he's still staying within the Warner Brothers family. So it's normally I'm all about fighting against corporate consolidation, and this really isn't corporate consolidation. It's just trading hands. So I think it's actually a good thing for everybody involved. And Discovery owns a lot of content. What's it? Food Network, the Travel Channel. Obviously Discovery DIY Network, and TLC, which is I don't know who watches that channel, but
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it used to be the Learning Channel, and it has nothing to do with learning whatsoever now.
Oh, great, cool.
It is a basically like a misery reality TV show network.
Wow.
So yeah, like like their most popular shows are about like people who hoard things and also like have really bad diseases and are dealing with them. Yeah, it's basically like for people who like watching the lives of people who are miserable. I don't get it, but yeah.
Okay. I don't have anything to say to that.
Yeah, no, it's not. I don't recommend it, but yeah, I hope that they're a media company, and also I hope that some of these like streaming services get consolidated, just like selfishly, because like I don't want to have all of these, like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's the same problem we had with cable. Yeah, it's the same problem we had with cable in the 90s, except worse, because you're paying for a subscription service.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what cable was, but...
It was, but, like, aren't, like, the full services more expensive than the cable channels themselves used to be?
No. Well, it depends on how many of them that you have. It's just like anything else. I mean, we used to pay something like $150 a month for... for cable, yeah. And I think with our streaming services, we only pay about like $90. So like, maybe even less than that, because we have Disney, HBO, Netflix, Hulu, and Discovery. So yeah, it has to be less than that. So I don't think we have anything else. So yeah. It has to be less than that. So, yeah, I get, and we get basically all the same shows that we always did, plus more. So, it's better this way. At the moment, that's until like they keep raising the prices on it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's, if any more streaming services pop up, it's going to be kind of like with a new online video game, it's going to be free to play, meaning it's going to be ad driven, rather than subscription based, like Peacock. Peacock has a tier where you could get rid of the ads, but like, I don't mind ads if it means I don't have to pay for it. So I don't know. It's one of those things. But yeah, moving on from that, the big video game news of the week, and this just pretty much dropped, was Kingdom Hearts 4 got announced.
Yeah.
No, I don't. If you know anything about the series, then you should know that that is no indication of if it will come out within this decade.
That is very true.
The first two games came out pretty timely, and then the third game took over 10 years to come out?
Yeah,
something like that.
They did a lot before that one came out.
Yeah, because
and the game that Kingdom Hearts 2 teased, like, oh, just wait for this. It wasn't even Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah. It was a cell phone game, wasn't it?
I don't know what the hell it was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a cell phone game. But anyway, so they debuted a new, older-looking Sora, and the biggest notable difference is no big Mickey shoes.
I missed the shoes, dude.
Well, I mean, I will say, like, Sora had a generally more grounded appearance, but he's still jumping around doing his magical little bonks with his ki against a giant shadow creature in a realistic looking world. It reminded me of Sonic Adventure 1 or New Donk City in Mario Odyssey, where you realize just how ridiculous your character looks when everyone else actually looks real.
Yeah. It is also like you gotta temper your expectations. I mean, this series will never get all that dark because it has like all ages, Disney characters in it. So like, and needs approval from Disney, of anything with their name on it. So
I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean 3 opened with people getting hanged, including a child. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like this has Mickey in it. Like they're not gonna release anything that grotesque with Mickey in it.
Not in this decade anyway.
Yeah.
Not gonna release anything like that. And I mean, my prediction is they will release more Kingdom Hearts games in the next few years. Sure. But Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be the new Final Fantasy 7. It's just never going to happen.
They did announce another side game.
There you go. Because Kingdom Hearts 4, like, it's come on. You're not getting that game for a long time.
Yeah. It's not going to happen. It probably won't happen until PS6. Let's face it.
When I saw Sora's new look, because one of the things I always enjoyed about Sora in the first games, especially the very first one, is that he was the perfect blend of like Japanese anime aesthetics and the cartoonish American aesthetics.
Yeah, the Disney aesthetic. Yeah,
with really worked.
He had gloves too, didn't he? Didn't he have Mickey gloves?
In the first game, I think he had like fingerless gloves.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he definitely didn't have the big puffy white gloves, but he had the shoes.
But he had basically those Junko jeans, like
yes.
those baggy jeans with like the chains and stuff on them.
Yeah,
that goth kids used to wear.
But it was
because Nomura loves belts and zippers and shit. Yeah.
But it was kind of perfect because he could transition. Like this character could transition very well from a Disney world to like a Final Fantasy world because he kind of he had that middle ground look, which combine both styles very easily. And the more
speaking of walking around a bunch of realistic characters, by the way, I remember it blew me away. I forgot if it was Kingdom Hearts 2 or 3 when he was in Pirates of the Caribbean Land.
Yeah, the
and
second
it's just
one.
like real people walking around. You're like, whoa.
It was pretty rad. But
and same goes for Tron. There's just like a human actor. You're like, what?
And it worked somehow, like, cause it was just that right amount of like the guy you're looking at is a cartoon, but he looks like you don't get the same uncanny valley you'd get from like the Galley movie, for example. I don't know if you've seen that one.
No.
Or is it Gundam? I can't remember the name of the. Oh wait, it's a Battle Angel Akita or Alita.
Yeah,
Alita.
Yeah, Alita.
Yeah.
Because you don't get that.
Well, that was weird because that was just a real person where they made her eyes fucking huge, and you're like, ah.
Yeah, you don't get that. That was the thing. You don't get that sort of look with Sora, so it's just kind of blended it very well. But you look at the
Yeah.
trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4, and now he just looks like a dude with a chain.
Wow.
He still looks like a little bit like Sora, but he's definitely more grounded than he used to be.
Yeah. If you like,
But,
just pull up 2 images of Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 4 side by side, and you're like,
not
oh,
even close.
Yeah. Like the hair is kind of there still, the blue eyes, the chain, and that's about it.
Yeah, he's got the Spice Must Flow eyes.
But yeah, I recommend if anybody wants to get into this, just like don't try to understand the story. Just play it for all of your little references, because like the story is incomprehensible, and once you make sense of it, it's actually really dumb. So just friendship. That's really it.
Yeah, like some of the bigger beats are like, okay, fair enough, but did you really need all these millions of side games with their own little lore that doesn't...
It's really not a complicated story. It's actually a very simple story spread out across a bunch of shit.
Yeah, it's just made out to be the most complicated thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, have you watched the
it's
opera?
Not
have
like
you read
Metal
the
Gear.
mangas? Have you played the mobile game, the PS1 game, the Vita games, the freaking everything?
Did you watch the live-action concert in Japan?
Yeah, it gets nutty.
Yeah. It's not as complex as Metal Gear, but they try to make it seem so. Yeah. So anyway, moving on from that, this is big news. So Lotus, I'll let you say this one because it was your thing. You brought it up to me, but I am really excited about this.
Yeah, this is pretty shocking, honestly.
Yeah,
They're
I never
making
thought
a
this
new
was happening.
Monkey Island game.
Oh,
but
the Return to Monkey Island, which they
not
haven't
just
done
that. Yeah, not just another Monkey Island game.
Well, yeah, it's like the original creator, and like they haven't.
Yes.
It's been like 15, 20 years or something.
So the last game was Tales of Monkey Island, which was made by Telltale. It was on the Wii, just to give what time period that was. But this is the first one that was made by Ron Gilbert since the second one. So I don't think Tim Schafer's involved with this one though, which is that was the team. It was Tim Schafer and Ron Gilbert. But I think did Tim Schafer help with Monkey Island? I'm pretty sure he did. But yeah, they were the team that did everything together. So yeah, let me look that up because Tim Schafer.
Yeah, I never touched the Monkey Island games, but I know that was among one of the LucasArts classics with its wacky sense of humor and all that good stuff.
Fun. I've only ever played one of them, but it was fun.
Yeah, so Tim Schafer and Ron Gilbert made the first two together. So I was correct. And then then Tim Schafer helped out on Curse of Monkey Island, but Ron Gilbert had moved on since then. So yeah, Ron Gilbert is kind of like he only pops up every once in a while to do things. Like Tim Schafer owns a pretty big company. That is owned by Microsoft now, but he's still the head of it. He's still the head of whatchamacallit?
Double Fine.
Double Fine, yeah. So he's still there, I believe. But Ron Gilbert kind of does his own thing. He did Thimbleweed Park, I believe, which was
and that was also
received.
well liked. That was that was like definitely like an older type of game vibe.
Yeah, in fact, Thimbleweed Park has very the original Maniac Mansion vibes of it, just with the way it looks, and its sensibilities. Obviously, it has better game design because time has moved on. But that game is basically like a love letter to old school games without all of the annoyance of the old school games, which is the best thing you can hope for in that kind of deal. But he had basically said that he never wanted to go back to Monkey Island, and I guess he kind of changed his mind about it.
He never wanted to return to Monkey Island.
Yeah, so I expect there to be like full tilt like jokes about the rest of the Monkey Island games not mattering or not counting when when he returns. But I hope they keep the voice actors, because the voice actors of those characters are very iconic and perfect. Like Guybrush Threepwood's voice actor is just amazing. I recommend, if you're gonna play a Monkey Island game, definitely play like the remasters of the first two games, because they're really, really well made. And what they did was they added voice acting to like the original games.
Use the text, yeah.
Yeah, and you can play it with like newer graphics or older graphics, but play it with older graphics and the voice acting. You can like mix and match, and that is perfect, because the new graphics aren't nearly as charming. I really like that chunky pixel art of, especially when they zoom in on people, like in those old games. So
yeah.
It's really lavish pixel art from back then. So those games are really good, and the third game is really amazing if you can get a hold of that. But the other two are pretty good. They're not just quite as good as the other three. The third game is actually really amazing. But some people like the second game the best. So I guess your mileage may vary, but those games are just iconic. A lot of people say that the Monkey Island games are like the best point-and-click adventures of all time, and I would have a hard time disagreeing with that, because they're just that good. Day of the Tentacle's obviously up there as well, and Grim Fandango. But
I gotta give a shout out to, like, normally, like, as iconic as Sierra is, it usually has a lot of moments in its games that screw you over, but I gotta give a shout out to King's Quest VI. That is one of the shining examples of the era.
Yeah, the Sierra games obviously were the founders of the genre. Ken and Roberta Williams made, like, King's Quest.
Yeah,
which
but
is
LucasArts really
the
did
OG.
refine them, though. Like, it's very hard to get into an unwinnable state in a LucasArts game.
Yeah, and if you do, it's kind of a joke, usually, if at all. So
yeah, like, I think in Monkey Island 1, you have to really make a point to die. There's like exactly one part in the entire game where you could die.
Yeah, it's also they do that in the third Monkey Island game too. Like, you can hold your breath for like they say earlier in the game that Guybrush Threepwood can hold his breath for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, you have to actually wait that long to see if it happens.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, so like you have more than enough time to accomplish what you need to do there. And like by a lot, you have to intentionally waste your time.
So I guess Guybrush could have been a really good blitzball player then.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, love these games, and I can't wait to see a new one by the OG. So I'm really happy about that. Also, did you guys hear about the PSN bug going around?
I did.
Very disheartening.
This is more of a PlayStation 3 PSN bug.
Yeah, so apparently there are a bunch of games that have expiring licenses right now, and it's due to a bug. It's not due to anything intentional by Sony.
It's very poor coincidental timing, because we're going to talk about this later, but the Chrono Cross remaster just came out. Yeah. And Chrono Cross is one of the games that you just can't play. Like, even if you bought it, it says the license is expired.
Oh,
yeah, and Chrono Trigger as well. So,
it seems like Sony's being scummy, but probably not, because the expiration date is something. It's like December 31st, 1969. Because I think that when they started incorporating computer dates into things, it was like 1170. So it's probably just like this.
It's like a Linux bug. I think
exactly.
It's like a Linux bug. So, which makes sense, because like a lot of Sony's infrastructure works off of Linux.
This is probably something that they could fix, and frankly should. I don't like the idea. Like, I know that when you buy a digital product, you're only allowed to download it X number of times before you're cut off. But like, to just not be allowed access to it, that's some bullshit.
They'll fix it. I have a good feeling, because they don't want the negative press for it.
Although I will say, from what I've heard, like, I haven't tested this, but apparently this is not a problem on the Vita for the same things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it seems to only affect re-downloading like PlayStation 1 classics, from what I understand. So, or only a couple things outside of that. So
yeah, it's not just the whole library or anything.
Yeah, exactly. So I would expect it would get fixed, because it's not just like one thing. Like it behooves them to fix it.
It is just kind of funny though that that Sony really is just done with the PS Store, and they keep getting little fuck, I gotta go back and fix the PS. Like really.
Well, I mean, like I don't know what to tell them, but like people still play their PlayStation 3s.
Well, I know. My PlayStation 3 is basically my PS1 besides, because it just automatically upscales and everything. And like, what if I don't want to pay $40-$50 for the Chrono Cross remaster? What if I want to pay $10 for Chrono Cross? Although I will say, Chrono Cross does not come with Radical Dreamers like the remaster does. That is an actually significant thing.
Also the upgraded music. So we'll get to that though. Just a few new games. We should talk about Chrono Cross then. Chrono Cross Remastered is out, and it seems like everybody is really, really liking it.
Good.
Yeah, apparently it's just a very straight up remaster. It's like borderline a port.
Yeah, which is a good thing in some degrees.
Yeah, we take those.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like if it's not broke, don't fix it. Everybody people generally think that Chrono Cross is a great game. So
yeah, there was a lot of there was some backlash when it came out because they thought it would be Chrono Trigger 2, and it clearly was not. But it's like a lot of things. It's like Zelda 2. Once you stop trying to make it something that it's not trying to be, you'll view it differently.
Yeah, in a bubble.
It's kind of like it kind of reminds me of what happened with Cowboy Bebop on Netflix versus the anime. It's like it's clearly not the same thing. So don't.
Yeah, you covered it. Yeah, it's not the anime again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something different. They're going a different direction with it, but yeah, it's one of those things that needed some time in the oven for people to kind of like it. And that happens with movies too. It's just like, wow, that wasn't a sequel I wanted at all, and then you watch it again and you're like, actually, this is really freaking good.
Yeah,
that happens. That happens a lot.
You mentioned with WB with Gremlins, where the entire Gremlins 2 was just shit posting Gremlins,
and that's why I love it. And Crank 2 is very much the same thing.
Crank 2 is a fucking treasure. That movie is like, I laughed out loud in the theater multiple times, and that's not usually a thing that happens.
So Gremlins 2 and Crank 2 are basically the same kind of thing, where you have a first movie that isn't entirely, not even close to serious, like a pretty goofy movie to begin with, and then they, just escalated, to the point where it's parodying a movie that was already funny.
You have, just the idea that he spent the entire first movie having to maintain a certain adrenaline level, and then the second movie happens, you have to do it again, but for a different reason. Really?
Yeah, and now it's electricity, so it's even dumber,
it's stupider. Yeah, just like Gremlins 2, my what was it? My father died on Christmas Eve. I have terrible memories of Christmas.
Exactly.
Then someone else died on President's Day. What?
Exactly.
Okay, I have a terrible memory about President's Day. That's less common than I thought.
And they start picking apart the Gremlins rules. They're like, when can you start feeding them then?
The funny thing is, the moment that guy brings it up, he's just immediately killed.
Yeah,
it's gotta be past midnight somewhere, right? And then he just gets strangled. They just don't answer it. Don't feed him after midnight. What does that mean? According to what time zone, he just dies.
What's so funny is that was that argument was happening with some nerds.
It's not even nerds though. That's such a vague rule.
Yeah, exactly.
Even people who don't nitpick are after midnight. Time zones exist, dude. And I also this is something I didn't I would never have gotten, because this is not a level that I look for, but Red Letter Media brought this up, where they had the actual movie critic who gave Gremlins 1 a poor movie review. They had him in Gremlins 2, and he's talking about how much it sucks, and then gremlins attack him, and he's like, "Ah, no, I meant it was a 10. It's a 10 out of 10. I'm sorry."
Oh, I think I remember that.
Like, what a good sport.
He he wanted to have fun, and he did.
Both he and Joe Dante are good sports. The director took it in stride, and the critic was like, "Sure, I'll do this."
Yeah.
But yeah, Chrono Cross. Apparently good stuff, and of course, I really hope they bring the Steam version of Chrono Trigger to the Switch, and PlayStation 4. I don't know why they haven't.
I never know why these kind of things happen or don't happen. It seems sometimes some games are like they're very careful with how they port it or how they put it in other consoles. And other games, they kind of just do whatever the hell they want. Like some Final Fantasies, they're just like, whatever, just put some filters on it and some new games. Like, what are you doing? And
Well, I think it partially has to do with the fact that I think the Chrono Trigger on Steam is an emulation of a cell phone version of that game,
which itself was the DS version.
The DS, yeah, a port of the DS. So it probably
oh my god,
needs some work in order to function on a stable console.
I understand. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah,
and also, before we continue, do you mind if I go with a little anecdote?
Oh, please.
So I actually had that version on the DS that my friend had lent to me. And on that game, on that console, the R button was broken. So, I was just playing normally, but I couldn't use the R button. There's a section in the game where it's like, okay, press the R button to open this door or like to do something.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
I got soft lock because of because I couldn't change the controls.
That sucks.
That's awful.
It's just very unlucky.
You should just go to a GameStop and play it for half a second and then
just come, save out. And come back. Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer, man. But moving on from that, I did talk about this a little while ago, but Taito Milestones is out on Switch, which is a bunch of older Taito games that is now emulated, and I just have a lot of fondness for even the early Taito games, so I'm pretty happy about this. I'll probably end up I'm actually waiting to pick it up on when it gets released physically, because Einen Games is putting that out. So I'm just looking forward to that. Let me see if I can find the games list just to go over that pretty quickly. But it's 10 games. Kicks or Quicks. Yeah, which is that game, it's kind of like Jazz Ball, if anybody ever remembers Jazz Ball.
Jazz Ball.
Jazz Ball.
And that game is pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah. So this is the game that got turned into a billion, anime porn games. It's a territory game, essentially. You have a cursor that needs to avoid some enemies in the center of the screen, and you have to draw areas to cordon it off in order to complete the level.
Gotcha.
So you're basically just making squares to cordon off more and more space while trying to avoid the enemies, and of course dirty anime games have come out and it's reveal the picture in the background kind of thing.
Those are classic.
But yeah, that kind of thing has been around for a long time. Those dirty hentai games were actually in arcades back in the day.
Well, I was gonna say the Famicom, the original Famicom.
Yeah, no, those kinds of games are still being made today on Steam. You can
yeah, that's true.
You can find them. Yeah. But this was the OG game that was like that. Space Seeker, I don't know that one. Alpine Ski, it's basically kind of like the precursor to Ski Free. Very similar. It's kind of a ski game. Yeah.
Is there a Yeti in there?
What's that?
Is there a Yeti in there?
No Yetis. No Yetis. It's not nearly as fun.
Don't care.
Yeah.
Why am I even bothering?
Frontline, which is very similar to Commando of the day. So basically, an on-foot Commando style game. Wild Western, which is kind of similar to that. Chack and Pop, which is actually where a lot of the characters from Bubble Bobble come from Jack and Pop.
Oh.
The original Elevator Action, which is a really good game. I actually really like Elevator Action, even though the sequel is even better. Fairyland Story, I don't know that one. Haley's Comet, and the original The Ninja Warriors, the three monitor game.
Oh, sure, Warriors. Where you walk very slowly and just deliberately just knock everybody out in front of you.
Yeah, it's basically a descendant of Kung Fu. It's like one of those single plane beat 'em ups.
Oh, okay.
So similar to Kung Fu, rather than like Final Fight or Double Dragon, where it has like an isometric perspective. But yeah, the sequel is way better. But it's still kind of cool to see where Ninja Warriors came from, and it's kind of cool to see a 3-screen game. That's kind of like cool novelty to it. So I'm looking forward to that when it comes out on physical. I think you could still pre-order it on Amazon as of right now. Moving on from that, House of the Dead remake is out on Switch.
Oh, heck yeah.
Apparently, the graphics are a little low budgety, but still kind of fun. Apparently the controls need a little bit of work, but they'll probably be patched out by the time that the physical probably comes out. I can't imagine there are apparently like bad gyroscope controls as of right now.
Really? That's a shame.
When they should function really well,
I was gonna say that's the only thing the game is. How do you fuck that up?
Yeah. I think the analog controls are okay, but like the one that you would think that would be better is not. But I'm looking forward to it. Some of the bosses look really cool in this. I would like it even better if they included the original game as kind of like a bonus. Just because.
I mean, that'd be cool, but I'm pretty sure the only reason this is a remake is because they couldn't release the original game.
Yeah, you're probably right. But either way, I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna buy it because I love the House of the Dead series, and any chance that I can get back to it, I will. Metroid Dread got another update, a free update with content. It has boss rush modes were added, so that's pretty cool. Nintendo is really good about like continuing to add content to like free content to games that have done well for them. So I really have to like hand it to them. Like a game like ARMS, like nobody ever really expected that to do really well, including Nintendo. They kind of just put it out and said, hey, this is a cool thing we made, I hope you like it, that kind of thing. And then like people really latched onto it, and so they kept releasing like free content for it. So it's pretty amazing. And they're doing that with Mario Kart. I mean, the content isn't free per se, but it is if you're an online member. So like, I mean, that's pretty much free for anybody who has like the online service. So it's just pretty amazing, what they do there. Their value proposition's like really, really good. So I think that's really cool, especially for a Metroid game. Like Metroid, as critically acclaimed as it is, and as much as it is beloved by me, it has never been a really like big moneymaker for Nintendo. And I think this is probably the number one selling game in the series, by like a long shot at this point, I think. Dread sold really well. Like really well. So, I think even the Prime games didn't sell as well. So that's saying a lot, because like Super Metroid is considered one of the best video games of all time, but it's not one of those games that everybody points to that isn't a video gamer. The usually like when you talk to somebody who isn't us, let's say, they think about Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario World, and maybe Link to the Past, right? And then maybe a couple other things outside of that, maybe Contra 3, for the Super Nintendo. But they don't. I hardly ever hear anybody talk about Metroid that isn't like Super Metroid that isn't somebody who is entrenched in video game culture. This is really awesome that Dread has done so well for Nintendo. It's really awesome, and made by the only Metroidvania company that exists. The only company that has worked on both series. So I love that. Also, Arcade Archives Pac-Land is out. So Pac-Land is really interesting. Do you guys know about Pac-Land?
I don't know.
No, I never follow Pac-Man.
Okay, so it is considered the first side-scrolling platformer by a lot of sources. It's either that or Ghosts and Goblins usually gets it. They're pre-Super Mario Brothers, both of them. Pac-Land usually kind of gets that. And it's a really weird game, because it's not like Pac-Man at all, but you play as Pac-Man. It's basically like an infinite runner game. You have to avoid, all kinds of stuff, and move forward. And it's kind of derisive. Like, some people think it's a bad game, but whereas other people are like, hey, this is actually really influential, that kind of thing. They did some interesting edits to the game when they released this Arcade Archives version. So they edited it out Miss Pac-Man.
Huh, okay.
And replaced her with, I think, somebody that's supposed to be Pac-Man's mother-in-law? Or
okay.
something. A different female Pac-Man. But seems to be based off of the design of his mother-in-law or his mom. Depends. It's a little bit confusing, but for those people who don't know, Miss Pac-Man is a very weird story that was, long story short, it was made by an American company and not sanctioned by Bandai Namco, but happens to be one of the best-selling arcade cabinets of all time. I think it's Galaga and Miss Pac-Man have sold more than any other arcade cabinet ever.
Wow.
But Bandai Namco, it's like a sore subject with them because they don't actually own Miss Pac-Man. Because it is owned by At Games currently.
Still, after all these years?
Yeah, they kind of screwed over Bandai Namco, and they basically sneakily bought the rights to Miss Pac-Man under their nose when it was supposed to transfer to them. And so they don't want anything to do with them. So you'll notice that Miss Pac-Man hasn't been ported in a long time.
Oh, gotcha.
And that's a shame because Miss Pac-Man is a better game than Pac-Man. That's kind of its thing. It has more mazes, it has a better design, and later versions of it improve it by making the game faster and things like that. So it's really kind of a shame, but I guess they don't want even the character to show up at all because they probably have to license it. So they are editing Miss Pac-Man out of everything that they had Miss Pac-Man in, which is probably a lot of things because she's even in Pac-Man 2 and
on the
all
Super
kinds
Nintendo,
of things. Yeah. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, that's the way it is. But yeah. Also, I don't think I talked about. I did not talk about this yet. But Mario Golf for the N64 is coming to Switch in June. On the 24th.
Like a port or a remake or?
That is the original N64. That is the original Mario Golf game. I mean, there were other games with Mario in it that had golf, that were golf, but this is the first Mario Golf game, in quotes. Before that, there was just Nintendo Golf with a character that looked like he was Mario on the NES, and then there was NES Tournament Golf on the NES, where you played as Mario and Luigi and Daisy and Peach were your caddies. And then there was just like golf for the Game Boy, where you were clearly playing as Mario. But this is the first one that was called Mario Golf that kind of started it, where you had all the different characters that did different things, and
that was made by Camelot, right?
Yeah, basically all of them have been made by Camelot, or nearly all of them.
Interesting that they would make like sports game like that and Mario Tennis and.
Yeah. I always like the tennis games a little bit better, but the golf games are a lot of fun, admittedly. And I'm not a big sports guy, but like these games are just so much fun.
Yeah.
And are quick and just a blast to play.
Yeah, I miss those old sports games. I used to like sports game when I was young, because like on Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega, they were fun. Remember NBA
They got
Jam?
too complicated.
Yeah, they got too complicated, and they also kind of removed all of the goofiness.
Yeah. I was always into like NFL Blitz, where you could just like pile drive somebody after which is always a lot of fun. Or like even early Madden games were kind of goofy. Like they had that ambulance that ran people over while it was picking somebody up. I just love that.
They just had fun,
Yeah, exactly. There's no fun anymore.
Yeah, no. You look at those new FIFA games and stuff, and you're like, I don't want to play this.
Too serious. Yeah. Also, I wanted to mention, I don't think I brought this up, but F-Zero X was added to the N64 games on the Switch, and it has online multiplayer.
Cool.
Which I thought was really neat. Especially in a game that is one of the best racing games of all time. I really love the N64 F-Zero game. It's really, really fun. That game is surprisingly even really quick on the original N64, on a system that historically had terrible frame rates.
Yeah, it chugged. We can all say it. It chugged a lot.
Yeah, but that game ran well somehow through some kind of magic. I think it was even 60 frames per second on that. It was like one of the only games that ran at 60 frames a second on the N64.
Wow, that I didn't know.
If I remember right. Yeah, and there's also a rumor going around that the next games are on the N64 app on the Switch will be Microsoft properties, in particular.
Oh, Halo, of course.
Banjo-Kazooie and Perfect Dark.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, that would be kick-ass.
That would be really cool, yeah. Hey, Perfect Dark Online, that'd be cool.
Yeah, they'll probably implement online features for that one in particular, because why wouldn't you want that?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you will need a Nintendo Switch RAM expansion.
I was just going to say that. You beat me to it. Moving on from that, we're pretty much done all the video game stuff, but Morbius is apparently one of the worst superheroes movies ever made already.
Is that even possible?
Plasma.
There's some pretty good competition out there for the worst superhero movie.
Yeah, I mean,
well, the big comparison I saw was like Fan Four Stick.
Yeah.
Oh.
You mean which Fantastic Four movie
Any
is
of
that?
them.
The new one, Fan Four Stick.
Okay, because
them,
like
honestly.
the Richard the Corman one.
Well, that's considered to be like the best one because it had heart.
Yeah,
Like
but
it obviously
it's an unreleased
has the worst
movie.
effects, but like they were trying.
Yeah.
Roger Corman one. But yeah, that's not even considered a real movie, because like it was a leaked movie that shouldn't have been.
Yeah,
released.
it was never released, and it was only made so someone could hold on to the rights.
Yeah,
Oh.
kind of like what they did with Wheel of Time. Like released an episode of a TV show like at like 2 a.m. That was intentionally bad and a terrible adaptation, so somebody could hold on to the rights. But yeah, Morbius, it looked bad, but I thought at its worst it was going to be forgettable. And apparently it's just terrible. Like
somebody had written on Reddit when he created some sort of toxic chemical. The line was really stupid. It was like lethal to bats and deadly to humans, or like fatal to humans. Like it's the same fucking thing.
I love it.
Also, if it's lethal to bats, chances are It's also going to be lethal to us.
I know, like, you might be surprised by this, but poison is dangerous.
Wow.
I heard that the dialogue is just god-awful.
But, like, lethal to one thing and fatal to another. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's like saying mortal to one and deadly to the other. It's like, well...
Yeah, it's the same... Yeah, like, what are you doing?
I didn't expect this to be really good because, like, first of all, like, Carnage, like, the second Venom movie was pretty bad.
Was it? That was actually the first movie in a while I was kind of interested in seeing because it was, like, as good as you're going to get to a Maximum Carnage adaptation.
Yeah, no, I would say that all the Carnage stuff is superfluous.
Oh, wow.
Like, the best part of the movie is him just arguing with his symbiote,
enough.
which was good, but, like, the actual plot is utterly the worst part of the movie.
Well, that's what happens when you do Maximum Carnage, which is a series with 5 villains and every fucking hero, and you cut out 4 of the 5 villains, and you cut out every hero.
All the heroes.
Venom himself just wanted to fucking, like, murder Carnage. It was more of a Spider-Man story, where he's like, Venom, could you please help me kill your offspring? And Venom was like, jeez, I didn't realize he was going nuts.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was really bad, and it was only 60 minutes long, so, like, just to give you an idea,
What was the
Carnage.
The whole movie?
It was 60 minutes long. Yeah, I'm not even joking.
That's bold.
But that's not even, like, movie length. Are you sure about that? Because I thought movie length was, like, 75 minutes. There's no possible way the whole movie was 1 hour.
It's very close to it.
No way. I'm going to look this up right now. There is no way it was 60 minutes. I refuse to believe that.
It was basically an hour.
I think the last time I saw a movie that was, like, very short, like even less than an hour, was that movie with the guy in the telephone booth.
Oh, it was literally called Phone Booth.
Phone Booth.
No, it's an hour and 37. What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, okay.
60 minutes wouldn't, like, I don't think you could make it into theaters if it was 60 minutes.
Well,
sorry, Lotus, we didn't mean to offend you with our...
I mean, 90 minutes is, like, short by today's
The original
standards.
Dumbo it is shorter than an hour. I know that.
What is?
Dumbo.
The original Dumbo.
Well, that was, like, from, like, the 40s or whatever. Like, what do you want? Like, Snow White was also, like, 70 minutes or something. Like, of course it was. I mean, this is like a century ago. What do you want?
Well, I'm just saying, like, a half hour worth of that movie is all it needed. And it was already a short fucking movie.
Yep.
But Morbius doesn't even have that. Which, you know, it's apparently brain dead. I mean, I don't know what people expected from a very old school Spider-Man villain that is not even a force to be reckoned with in.
Well, that's the whole thing. That's why it was weird. It's like, you're really going to take, like, a C-lister that you probably haven't even heard of and put him on the forefront? Like, Marvel gets away with that because they
make fun of them, basically. They make fun of those characters that are like that.
But also, though, if they're going to give them their own movie, like Black Panther, like, they ease you into it through Civil War, where you're like, oh, I've seen this guy's cool, now I'll watch a movie of him. But, like, if you're not a comic book guy, like, no, seriously, who is Morbius? Do you really, like, do you even know who Morbius is?
Yeah.
And do you care? And it's a Jared Leto film.
He's basically known as, like, one of the very first, like, vampire characters to re-enter, comics ever since the Comics Code, because he wasn't a real vampire, but he was also basically just a vampire.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Yeah, they call him, like, what do they call him, like, the living vampire or whatever? But, like, he's a vampire.
yeah. But the Comics Code Authority basically said you couldn't have, like, demons and stuff. How come? So they skirted the lines with all those
with
kinds of things.
How come? Probably because, wasn't it, like, just protest groups against, like
oh dear lord,
mothers against whatever?
It was called Seduction of the Innocent.
Seduction
there was, like, a book
of the... Oh my god, you know what? I'm not even gonna comment on that. So stupid.
I mean, even in the 90s, Magic the Gathering, like, had to drop demons and devils for a while.
Yeah.
Like, after, like, Ice Age, all of a sudden demons just vanished off the face of the earth.
They always had to skirt things because, they came up with new ways of calling, like, the devil. Like, you have Mephisto.
Yeah, it's pretty funny where it's like...
It's the devil. It's just the fucking devil.
But it's funny, though, because it's like, and they know, so it's like, you know what, fuck you. He's in there, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, like, they had demons, but they weren't called demons. Doctor Strange's entire thing was fighting demons, and they weren't called demons.
They were like eldritch horrors.
Yeah, but they're demons. Fuck off. They're fucking demons.
Well, that's a whole other discussion. I'm sorry about it.
Even with DC, there was like... what was... I don't follow DC as well, but like Etrigan, he wasn't always called Etrigan. He was called something demon.
He's called the Demon.
That's it.
He was called the Demon, yes.
Well, okay.
But yeah, there was a book called Seduction of the Innocent that was basically like a pearl clutch kind of book.
Yeah. My child can't tell the difference between fantasy and reality.
Yeah, it was basically a book there to terrify well-meaning parents that went to church every Sunday and didn't know anything about what their kids were reading, even though it wasn't even that bad.
If only it were possible to find out what their kids were reading.
And so basically they alluded to all comics being basically evil, because they had all this demonic crap in it, as well as sexual stuff and homosexual stuff.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
Comics were, like, even Marvel, like, they could get kind of risque. I'll give them that.
Yeah, but, like...
Like, with, the this is another thing I should know. What was Marvel's straight-up horror series called?
I don't remember.
Strange Tales?
They actually had a few, but they had, like, Tomb of Dracula was, like, the big one.
Okay.
But you're probably thinking of, like, Tales of the Crypt, and
there was
all those
that
kinds
too,
of stuff. But that was
yeah.
EC Comics. But they got away. They got away. So what happened was the comic industry did what the video game industry did later, and basically came up with a self-regulation board.
Yeah, the Comics Code.
Yeah, which all the major comics companies contributed funding to a ratings board, so they wouldn't, like the government wouldn't get involved.
Oh, gotcha.
So they censored themselves with certain guidelines, kind of like what movies did. Movies did that as well with the MPAA.
Yeah, isn't it wild that, like, if you go and watch Dracula, there's just no rating?
Yeah, I mean,
not that it'll traumatize you, but there's just no rating.
Also, like, there were G-rated movies with nudity in them.
Yeah, I remember that.
From back in the early days of the rating system. I mean, like, Airplane has nudity in it, and it's a G-rated movie.
Oh, that's a G?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a G-rated movie. But yeah, and has literal shit hitting a fan.
I think there was Airplane 2. Wasn't that Airplane 2?
Whatever. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that was so dumb that it made me laugh. When he hears about this, the shit's gonna hit the fan.
And then just like a big sloppy shit.
Yeah, that's it.
Fan.
That's it. Oh, it happens. Yeah,
it's really funny. But and it's like one of those like old school like blade fans that could tear one of your fingers off. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, but anyway, Morbius was a way around that because what they did was they made, just like with every other like prominent Spider-Man villain, they're all like science related in some way.
Yeah, usually.
I mean, and even you keep saying this is like a joke because of how dumb it is, but in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, he wasn't seeking blood, even though he was seeking plasma.
That's true.
Yeah, he said plasma, and he did not mean like hot metal.
No, he meant
I mean, plasma is in your blood, so like figure it out, but he insisted on saying the word plasma.
Hey, it works.
Yeah, in the cartoon they couldn't say blood. He
talked in a faux Bela Lugosi accent, but not an actual Bela Lugosi accent, but like the "I want to suck your blood" like accent that everyone for some reason, it's like the Arnold Schwarzenegger accent. People just associated him with a super exaggerated accent that he never had.
Now, what's really funny is he has vampire fangs, but he doesn't use them as such. He has like tentacle suckers on his on his hands that he uses to suck blood.
Okay.
Because that was a thing that they needed to do
That's
as well.
true, yeah. Ugh.
You can't get the vampire bite.
That actually reminds me of why vampires were created in the first place, to like get around censors back in the time.
Yeah, not only that, but they were also kind of used as like scapegoats for things like like actual like mental illness and things like that. Like hucksters would come to a town and say, "Hey, you're that old person that isn't dying is a vampire. We need to like stake them." Yeah, like just crazy kind of crap. I went to a vampire museum and they showed all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, really crazy stuff. But yeah, Morbius, like what the fuck?
There it is.
Just give me Spider-Verse 2, please. Sony.
I don't know. I want to see other weird Spider-Man. Like, aren't they making like a Kraven movie? And it's like same thing. Like,
yeah.
Who's heard of Kraven the Hunter?
I have.
Kraven's only good in context of Spider-Man. It doesn't make sense otherwise.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like, yes, Spider-Man is the most dangerous game because he's already caught every other thing. So, like, if you don't have Spider-Man in the movie, then what is he doing? Is this before he became a Spider-Man villain, where he's just a hunter in the jungle and he's good at his job?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah, he's only good because he's a Spider-Man villain.
I've caught some criminals, but you know, it'd be really cool, a super-powered character, and then he hunts Spider-Man.
I mean, I guess they could have him hunt Venom. That would make more sense, but, like, they're not doing that.
Yeah.
like they could just use Venom as a Spider-Man surrogate, which is what they should be doing.
You know what they should do is they should make a movie starring Alistair Smythe and the Spider Slayers and have no Spider-Man
to slay.
He just has weird robots. What are you doing? I don't know. In case there's a spider, I guess.
Or the Rhino. He runs through banks and then steals the money and then nobody stops him.
Well, that's the same thing with like the Sandman and Electro. It's like I'll use my electric powers to like rob banks. I'll use my sand powers to get into the cracks of a bank vault. Like, all right.
I mean, yeah, that's what comics were for a long time. It was just like robbing banks.
Yeah, Spider-Man took down superpowered guys with stupid bags with dollar signs on them.
Yep. And basically the only character that wasn't like that was Green Goblin, and then they've done him to death. So I mean, like, what else do you want? I mean, he does have a couple tragic ones. He has like the Lizard and Doc Ock are both tragic characters. So, but anyway,
I kind of like the Hobgoblin, where he's just a guy who found one of the Green Goblin's lairs, and he's like, shit, I'll wear the costume too. Why not? And he's
not even nefarious. He's just
some asshole who like found Green Goblin's tech. So he's basically the Green Goblin without the super soldier serum. So he's just like kind of scary but not horrifying.
Or like the terrifying like blackmail aspect of the Green Goblin, because like the Green Goblin knows who Spider-Man is.
Yeah, that's pretty awful.
So like the part of what makes Green Goblin so bad is that he's also his best friend's father. So
yeah.
there's so much danger for his family involved. And friends involved with the Green Goblin, so that's why he's a terrifying villain, not any of the other stuff.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty tough, but yeah, it's more about what he knows.
It's the fact that he can inflict like emotional damage upon Spider-Man in a way that nobody else can. Example. Exactly. Which he blames for himself, which, you know, that's like blaming any abuser, anybody who tries to help in a situation with an abuser instead of the actual abuser. But anyway, moving on. I really have to recommend Moon Knight. The second episode just came out on Disney Plus, and boy, is it good.
He was really good at attacking that Imperial Star Destroyer.
But yeah, Moon Knight is awesome. Do you guys know about the character at all?
Very little, honestly.
No, okay. I just know he looks cool, and I think he's Jewish.
Doesn't he have a staff?
Well, it depends. So, that's kind of the character's deal. Is he has multiple forms. and I'm not gonna explain any more than that because it kind of ruins it.
Oh, okay.
But what makes the character special is, on the surface, he appears to be a Batman ripoff, and maybe initially he might have been, because he's just kind of a guy with a cape, and that, the Batman is the Dark Knight. He's basically like a reflection of Batman. And not only that, but he was invented by a prominent Batman writer, Doug Mensch, who is one of the people who wrote Nightfall, like, one of the most famous Batman stories, where Bane breaks Batman's back in the 90s. But he purposefully, on the surface, made him like Batman, but once you read it, you realize that he is much different, because he isn't just that kind of Batman-like thing. Like, there's much more to him than that. So I really recommend it. Oscar Isaac is doing a fantastic job. You probably know him as Poe Dameron from the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, that's where my little joke came from.
Yeah. But this is like one of the best like Marvel MCU shows. Not only that, but it doesn't appear to be connected to the overall MCU quite yet, or is maybe in a very small way. So
honestly, I don't mind that. Just tell a story.
Yeah, honestly, it could be probably watched in a vacuum as of right now. So, and the villain is a unique villain to him, and the action is really good, and it's also, the directing is very artistic. It's one of the most artistic things that Disney has done with the MCU kind of stuff. They're kind of known for their house style, which is is great and fun, and even their worst movies are fun as a result. But like this is like verging on the side of art. It's like similar to WandaVision in that way. Like there's clearly something behind it. And the acting is really, really good because the character is a complex character. So I definitely really recommend it. There is a lot still that needs to be revealed and stuff that's going on in the show, obviously. It's kind of holding on to its secrets, which is a good thing. But I recommend anybody to not read about like who Moon Knight is in the comics and like his deal, because it's the same thing in the MCU, but chances are you probably haven't heard of Moon Knight because he's not a prominent. He's like one of those characters that was well loved by anybody who read that, but very few people have actually read Moon Knight comics before now. So like he's kind of an underground character. So he's not like Guardians of the Galaxy where he was like a nobody. Because like he had his fans, but like very few people knew about him before this. So definitely don't even look up his Wikipedia entry or anything like that. Just like be surprised by what is up with that character, because it's a lot of fun, honestly, and I really, really like it. And this last one is yours, Lotus.
Yeah, this is the most important piece of news of all. Move over, Moon Knight. You ain't ready for this. Tommy Wiseau tweeted out that he might be making like a new movie that looks like it's some kind of, well, it's a big shark movie. Like I was gonna say Jaws, but it's not just like randomly a deep sea creature that you might encounter. I don't know in what capacity this big shark thing it is, but the movie's called Big Shark. It's literally called Big Shark, and Greg Sestero is back. In what capacity, I don't know, but there you go. Tommy Wiseau is making a new movie. I don't think I'm like the thing is, ever since he became self-aware, it wasn't quite the same. I don't know if I'm going to be interested in seeing Big Shark. Probably the title is like going to be the funniest part of the whole thing, but because that is kind of funny. But like, here's the thing that's happening.
I liked when he played video games. That was fun.
That was amusing enough, yeah.
And I liked the house that dripped blood on Alex.
The house that drips blood on Alex.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
It was all right.
Yeah, but like I never saw that other thing that he did with
Neighbors.
No,
nobody talked about that because it was apparently unwatchable.
But the other thing that he did with Greg Sestero, where he's like a magician or something like that did karate.
I don't even know if I know what that is.
Yeah, no, he did some kind of other project that was advertised along with the Disaster Artist. Yeah, he did like another thing. But yeah.
Well, okay.
But yeah,
so
I don't think.
Shark.
Yeah. Maybe you'll sell
I wonder what the movie's about.
Some Korean leather jackets if we watch it. But yeah. He sells a lot of underwear. Like, do you follow his Twitter?
I do not.
Oh, his Twitter is just like he's trying to sell underwear that says Tommy Wiseau on it, just like Calvin Klein.
Oh.
I got his autograph, man. I'm good.
I kind of want the underwear though. It's
you want me underwears?
Me undies.
No, me underwears.
But yeah, it's just kind of funny. They're like basically just like regular underwear, but in like garish colors, and it says Tommy Wiseau like on the band. Yeah.
Can you imagine like being with your date and you realize it's gonna get serious?
Oh yeah.
Like, oh fuck, I wore those today. Oh fuck.
Or how about this? Getting ran over almost by your grandfather, and then your mom stripping off all of your clothes and thinking your name was Tommy Wiseau.
Oh yeah.
And then she tries to have sex with you.
Yeah, hello there, Tommy. What? Oh yeah.
This is a real movie that's very beloved.
Does it involve the Lord?
Well, the punchline though is that earlier in the movie, the mom was like, you know, what do you think I was? Some hussy who just ran around dating whatever boy, but like,
and then yeah, like
she just latched onto him immediately.
Well, I think it was like Bob Gale, the guy who wrote the movie, was just like, yeah, I was thumbing through. I was in my attic, you know, in my early days. I was thumbing through my attic and just saw this like yearbook with my dad in it, and he was just like the biggest dork in the world in it, and like I couldn't idolize him at all after this point.
Oh no.
And he was just like I think he was like the leader of like the newspaper club or something like that, and he's just like, god damn, dad was a nerd. So he's just like
the Crispin Glover laugh though, that like
So he based the entire thing off of the thought, like, what if you met your parents when they were younger, but your dad was the biggest dork in the world and your mom was a slut?
I mean, you know what? Mission accomplished.
Perfect. And then he made a successful movie franchise.
And he even turned the dad around, too. He punched out Biff so hard that he fucking spun 360 degrees.
Yeah. Get your
That's ridiculous.
Off.
Hey, a good amount of adrenaline can really get you going.
I
mean, Biff is like twice his size. He turned him around. It was amazing.
He punched the shit out of him.
Well,
he did.
When Darth Vader tells you to do something, you do it.
From the planet Vulcan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
He had Eddie Van Halen music. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Music that, like, didn't yet exist. It's amazing.
It's so good. He's like, I'm scrambling your brain. It's so good.
With his stupid voice, I'm Darth Vader.
From the planet Vulcan. And he's doing the Vulcan
hand
scene.
It's so bad.
It's so funny. Back to the Future, folks, in case you didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, what was this?
Yeah.
The implications of that show, though, and then Futurama just like one-ups it by like, no, he actually fucks his grandmother and becomes his own grandfather.
There it is.
Oh, good. Let's have a lesson in not changing history from Mr. I'm my own grandfather.
Oh, yeah, that's a great line.
Yep, I did the nasty and the pasty.
The atomic bomb goes off, and you are out of here. Fucking sucks.
How was it? Really good until you showed up.
I forgot about that.
He was like under there for hundreds of years.
Well, it was the full 1,000 because they got to get to the year 3000.
Over 1,000 years.
And he's just as snarky as he ever was. Just comes out like, yeah, whatever.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order, gentlemen?
I got nothing else to add, no.
Anything to say on your last reactive? Fakafon?
Actually, yeah, this has been an incredible journey. Like you guys have made, you're gonna make 300 episodes. That's amazing, dudes.
Yeah. I can't believe, like, I mean, I'll talk about it more, of course, later. But like, I can't believe like people wanted to be on it. Like you, like, and a lot of other people like wanted to be a part of it. It's just like
great.
One of those things. It wasn't just my friends going into it that wanted to be on it. It was like a lot of other people like latched onto it. So, like, I never expected it to last 6 years?
Yeah, about.
Lotus,
yeah, like 5 2/3, 5 3/4. It's in there somewhere.
Pretty darn close because we started it the summer before I met my wife. So yeah, just to give you an idea, and we've been together like 5 years.
Nutty, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's almost 6 years. And we're getting pretty close. Yeah, it's just kind of awesome, I think.
Yeah,
is the best thing I
that
could
is
say.
The
It's
word,
lasted as long as it has, and it's been a passion project the whole time. I mean, we haven't made anything off of this. I didn't even do a Patreon for it. It's just something that we wanted to do, and just friends getting together and people wanted to listen to it.
Well, you can't see me right now, but I have a big smile on my face.
Oh, I absolutely loved having you on. And,
it's always fun being here.
Yeah. I'm gonna hate not having an excuse to talk to you on a regular basis. So
just join Lotus's Discord. We'll be able to talk.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Is like this isn't the end of me. It's just like I just kind of don't have the time anymore.
I completely understand
to do
how
it
you
on a
feel.
regular basis.
It was the same with me when I stopped doing my YouTube videos. At some point, I was just like, I can't do it anymore, which sucked.
Yeah, and I don't want to like promise anything, of course, that I can't follow up on. So, it's just one of those things. Things are going to be more casual from going on here on out. I might release an LP every once in a while, that kind of thing, but I'm not even committing to that. It's just one of those things, life got in the way, and I'm in a much different spot. I'm married now. When I started this, I never thought I was going to be married ever. I was having a hard time dating at the time, so I never really dated anybody for more than a year, and I only ever dated one person that long, and everybody else was very short term. So,
that's really cool.
Yeah, and shortly after that, I even talked about like some of the dates that I went on with her.
Yeah, I remember that
very early.
I remember.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a cool time capsule just to like kind of have my progression of that.
Heck, I even remember when you were like talking about like you were losing weight and you were updating us. That was cool too.
Yeah, and you know what? I've lost a little bit of weight over time, but like I was trying really hard, and it's still something I struggle with. But I kind of wanted that to be there as a reminder that like it's not an easy thing to do, and like if people could see me struggling with it, maybe it helps them out because they're not alone.
These things take time.
But,
like it took me years before I finally started exercising. I've been thinking and talking about it for maybe over 4 years before I finally got to it, and I'm exercising now, so it's cool.
Yeah, and I've been doing well with my current regimen too.
Nice.
So, that's part of actually the reason why I wanted to end the podcast is because I'd rather go to the gym and prolong my life.
And meanwhile, Lotus has not changed at all this entire time.
You're goddamn
really.
Right.
Not really.
Heck, I don't think I even had my comic when we started doing this, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just been crazy. We didn't even have a reactive at first, right? We added reactive maybe a year in.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. We back then we kind of split up corrective into 2 episodes, like a week for a while.
No, I think it was just a really long cast that was once a week.
Oh, was it? Yeah, I know we sometimes broke it up, but I don't remember what we did. We talked about The Binding of Isaac quite a bit.
Yes.
In those early episodes.
And actually,
entire half hours.
I know one of the guys who worked on one of the DLCs pretty well now, so I'm happy about that.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Well, we do have another episode coming up here of Corrective Consciousness. We want to get to some other Bruce Willis movies that aren't Die Hard.
I was so ready to talk about Die Hard 2. Dang it.
We can talk about Die Hard 2 since you weren't around. That's okay. Plus, Die Hard 2 is, out of all of them, the one that needs the most love because it's the most underrated of Die Hards. So, like, all the other ones are pretty rated where they should be, if you ask me. So, that is the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages, because, lots more content is on its way. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. How will we ever get sponsors if you don't? It helps promote and spread awareness of the dying show, and any bit of encouragement won't do anything. Won't encourage me to do shit.
We appreciate it, though.
You can also catch... What was that?
We appreciate it, though. Thank you.
Yeah, we do. You can also catch us on Thursday for 2 more weeks on our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything still.
And you could follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon accounts, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Yeah, join his Discord. It's fun. And as for...
Yeah, I should say that Lotus is still going to continue to have his normal output. So if you are a fan of his... definitely, or if you haven't moved over to his YouTube channel, please do, because he's still pumping out like lots of really great content.
And the live streams are fun too.
Absolutely.
Why, thank you.
And as for me, sorry, I have something in my throat. Jeez, it's the emotion.
You're getting a little verklempt.
And as for me, you can watch my webcomic at kedrula.com, and I also have my Patreon, which is Kedrula as well.
Wonderful. So we will catch everybody on Thursday then for some more Bruno.
Oh yeah, it took me a second. Until next time,
See
everyone.
ya, everybody.
Bye-bye.